Opening Vox channel. Establishing connection. Feed beginning in 3, 2, 1. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Real Heresy Hours podcast, the show where two idiots argue like they know everything about 40k, despite being completely new. I'm your host. My name's Locust, joined by my co-host.
It's me, Void. Hello.
Okay, and yeah, so what is this? This is like I said, this is the very first episode of our podcast. It is mainly targeted towards, I guess, either like newcomers to 40k.
I would 100% say a more casual side of the 40k thing, because neither of us takes the game hyper competitively.
Yeah, we're pretty. Sorry, you go.
What's it called? I was just gonna say, like, neither of us are like going into like high-end tournaments and stuff. If anything, like a local tournament or something, you know me. A lot of my armies, I literally look at a model, I'm like, you look cool, I'm gonna add you, and then I read up and it's like, oh, apparently he's garbage. Don't care, he looks cool, I'm gonna add him.
Yeah, meanwhile, for us, it's mainly about we build armies we like, we read the lore we like. We're very casual into it. You're not going to see us going into any big tournaments, like Void already said. We're pretty much just going to be, we're pretty casual, I guess, if you want to put it. We're not like hardcore. Like we haven't been in this. We haven't been like playing or like reading
like
40k.
6 months.
Yeah, about 6 months. We haven't been into this like for like 20 years. We are, like I said, we are pretty new to this. So
yeah. Honestly, what's it called? I'm pretty sure I got you into 40k, didn't I?
Technically, yeah. You got me into it by showing. You kind of started this whole thing by showing me Russian Badgers.
Yeah, like honestly, credit to him for getting me into this, because he posted a long time ago the Warhammer 40k Space Marines video that he did.
Yeah, that was like a couple years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was I think 2017, if I'm not wrong. 2017, 2018, something like that.
Yeah, then, so kind of shout out to Russian Badger for starting this whole landslide.
Honestly, yeah. Then I absolutely fell in love with Warhammer after that. I got Dawn of War 2, obviously. 3 apparently is garbage, and 1 is too clunky for me.
Yeah, and then
don't people say that like 3 is basically just a MOBA?
Pretty much, yeah. And from what I've seen of it, it does look like that too.
It's so sad because like the trailer's so good.
Yeah, like it's probably one of the best 40k trailers out there. Anyway, so we're getting off topic again. Something that'll probably happen a lot. So then, a little bit after that, like eventually, you showed me Russian Badger's Space Hulk Deathwing video.
Yeah, and then me, you, and Wheat Ghost got it.
Yeah, and then we got it. We played for a bit, and then we kind of went downhill, and then it resulted in us trekking out.
Yeah, and then we impulsively bought Dark Imperium.
Yeah, we impulsively bought Dark Imperium after trekking for fucking like 3 hours into fucking Toronto.
Oh my god, yeah, we're trekking around Toronto. Go to Silver Snail. Just also shout out to those guys. Yeah. If anybody is from listening from the Toronto area, they have really good, just like general nerd stuff, and they do also have some pretty good 40k stuff. To be honest, you wouldn't think so, but they do.
Yeah, wait, but we didn't actually go there though. We went there, and then we went to a Games Workshop store at the very end. Yeah, because fucking Toronto. So because store we barely were in.
No, but because we were there, and then we found it wasn't Dark Imperium. It's like the cheaper version of Dark Imperium.
It was No Fear, I think.
Yeah, No Fear. So we found that, and then we were looking like, oh, maybe there's like a Games Workshop store around because it might be cheaper there. So then we go to the Games Workshop store. It's like up there.
Spoiler, it wasn't.
No, it was. Yeah, it was like what, $10 more expensive or something.
Yeah,
yeah. But when we got there, like, it was the Games Workshop store. What was it by again? Like, fucking.
I don't even know.
I think like I forget. But anyways,
I don't fucking live in Toronto. I have no idea what anything.
Yeah.
But after we went there, like again, brand new. I wasn't even sure if we were getting into this.
And then we're talking to the guys there, and fucking hell, they're like, oh. You can get this one. You can get No Fear, sure, but there's also this kit that we want to show you guys called Dark Imperium, and it comes with a lot more models. It's basically a full-out starter kit. It's got blah 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 blah. And they're doing like the whole like salesman pitch to us.
But then they invite us to paint like Space Marines, like just basic ones, which was, I gotta say, that's what kind of clicked it.
Yeah, it's 100% what clicked it. Yeah, that makes a world of difference.
Because we spent like 2.5 hours just painting, and we also
2.5, dude. We were there for 4.
Oh, we were there for 4. Sorry, 4 hours. We were there for like 4 fucking hours, and like I still have the model. It's not my best at all now that I've painted a lot more, but like we were there for like 4 fucking hours, and we were talking to the guy who ran the store, and also there was a local guy there. Like, do you remember?
Yeah, like a guy that went there all the time.
Yeah, his name was should I just use his real name, or I don't know? I don't fucking know.
So on Instagram, we'll just use his Instagram handle.
Yeah. So
Too Many Paints.
We met this guy, Too Many Paints. He was honestly really awesome. Like, he was very enthusiastic. He was like, "Hey, here's all the lore. Here's all these characters."
He had like a bunch of models that he was painting. He was showing them all to us, introduced us to the guys at the store. They showed us more models. They were like answering all of our questions about paints and stuff. And like,
it was really good. Like, that's honestly what got me even more into this, and I got to learn more about the lore. And
honestly, like when I got home, I told my parents, like, if possible, because they were heading like near a Games Workshop store, because there's none near my house, sadly. It's a hell of a trek to go all the way to what's it called? Yeah, it's a trek to find one sometimes. But what happens is like they go and they went out. They like bought me the paint, they like the spray paint. They bought me the glue and everything. I was so happy. I spent like the next 4 days just building up everything.
Yeah, but then you also used to use your entire fucking pot of, I don't even remember what it was. Was it black or Abaddon Black?
Oh, shut up! That was later. Shut up! Don't remind me. Okay, so
you fucking okay. No. We're saying this. I'm not mentioning what happened. Basically,
heads up to anyone getting into 40K. Be careful with contrast paints. I fucking love them to death. I love them so much better than like layer paints or base paints, because
so you spill them on your fucking carpet.
Yeah, until I spilled, Black Templar contrast paint all over my carpet, and the stain is still there. Because, black contrast paint just doesn't get out of carpets. Anyways.
Contrast paint doesn't get out of anything. I stained some pants with Agrex Earthshade. It's fun.
Okay, I guess Earthshade is a shade, though, but yeah, it's still really permanent.
No, but also, just to give an idea, to anyone who's new to 40K and are like, if you make any mistakes when you're new to like painting or modeling, don't worry, because, again, if I may use wood as an example... use wood as an example again, the motherfucker primed his miniature with fucking,
oh my god, shut up. Okay.
Chaos Black, and then fucking
when my parents
in red.
Yeah, when my parents talked to the guys at the store, they were like, "Oh, a lot of people usually when they're priming their figures, they'll usually either go for white, or they'll go for black. Most of the time, it's black because there's a lot of dark colors." Yeah,
my parents were like,
"Oh, all right." Yeah, my parents were like, "Okay, let's go for those." So they bring me the thing of Chaos Black, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna prime my guys. I'm gonna paint them." And then I realized, wait a minute,
they're fucking red.
I bought Dark Imperium because, like, you might be thinking, like, red. What the fuck? You got Dark Imperium? Shouldn't you paint them blue? Ultramarines. Fuck the Ultra Smurfs. I prefer the Blood Angels. I wanted to paint them as Blood Angels because, like, I didn't care about how good they were in game because I know that they were kind of garbage before Blood of Ball came out.
They're still not that great, but yeah.
They're still not that great, but they're not like trash like they were before. So
they're
I was like,
they're nice looking trash, is what they are.
Yeah, they're beautiful trash. They're polished shit. So
polished, very red and bloody shit.
Jesus Christ, that's an image. Anyways, I go and I paint them, and like what? There was like a whole thing on my fist in red. Because it took like 3 layers of paint to be able for the red to actually stay. But then the problem is
concerning.
Yeah, but then the problem with like 3 layers of red is that there's a lot of paint just like layers on top of the model, so they weren't looking too nice. Like you could see clear like what's it called? You could see clear like streaks of paint and shit, and I just wasn't having it.
Yeah,
I'm really happy with the recent ones they did. Anyways, again, we're going so off topic.
We
actually not really, because we're just talking about like our experiences with 40K and how we got into it.
So yeah, and then after that, we kind of just I personally, after that day where we just were at the Games Workshop, painted. Brought Dark Imperium home. I originally, when I was looking at all the factions, I was looking at Thousand Suns, but then there was no starter kit, so we ended up getting Death Guard. And I won't point this out. The thing that made me want Thousand Suns in the first place was literally just the little blurb you get on Games Workshop's store for the factions. But then afterwards, when we got Dark Imperium, I was like, okay, I really don't want to play the Ultramarines. So I'll get the Death Guard.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I like Space Marines, not the Ultramarines. I like what's it called? Blood Angels.
Yeah. And then what ended up happening was, at first I was like a little whatever. But then I started reading about the Death Guard, and I was like, fuck, they're amazing. And well, now they're probably my favorite faction. If you couldn't tell,
Yeah.
like I
It's kind
fucking
of
love
sad
it.
that
Anyway,
what's it called? They're not in the greatest spot in the world right now.
they're all
They're like the
right.
mid tiers. They're in the mid tier. Yeah, they're in the
they're-
all right section of the armies.
They're not in a state where you're pretty much guaranteed to lose. You can get by just fine.
Emperor's Children. I'm fucking crying, bro.
But they're okay. What if we ever could talk about that? The Emperor's Children aren't gonna be good for a while till they get a full codex / rework. Because man,
like, okay,
not great.
No.
We're not doing this now.
Sure.
We're not doing this.
We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
Fucking getting too off topic now. Okay, we got it. Okay, let's get back on topic. Anyway, so point being, we are fairly new to 40k, so we thought, okay, why not have a podcast about two idiots arguing, acting as if they know fucking everything? So we're here.
Yeah. And honestly, like wherever we post this, be it YouTube, where like,
YouTube.
If we do say some stupid shit, and you guys are like, bro, you got the lore way wrong, do not be afraid to correct us.
Yeah, please do, because like I said, we're pretty new. So
all my information has been gathered from just talking to people, watching videos, and all of that. Like,
and I want to point this out real quick, just so everyone knows. I know everything. I get all my information from 40k theories, so I'm automatically right.
I'll kill you. Continuing. So
it could honestly, be worse. I could be reading fucking 1D4chan.
Okay, well, don't shit on my boys at 1D4chan.
I know.
If you're going, okay, real quick, because I know a bunch of people are like, 1D4chan is so inaccurate, but like, bro, if you see the name, it's literally 1D4chan.
Like, I get it, 4chan. It's fucking 4chan.
The place is literally there just to shitpost, and I am 100% for that.
Okay.
Anyway, but it could be worse. Instead of 1D4chan, you could be watching certain YouTubers. But continuing, let's.
YouTubers we won't mention. YouTubers we won't mention.
We won't mention. To quote PewDiePie, for legal reasons, that's a joke. So honestly, let's talk about the news. What's been happening recently in 40k shit.
So, for anyone who's really not sure about what's going on over the past year, actually not year, a few months or so, this event called the Psychic Awakening has been happening in the 40k universe. And essentially, I don't get all the details of it, but essentially a lot of shit is happening, a lot of conflicts are happening in lore, but we're not talking about the lore. What we're talking about is the game.
Like rules, models that are coming out. So Mephiston got a new model, which got me so excited.
Eight.
Okay, to getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, two ahead. So basically what's been happening is they've been slowly going through all the different factions, and they've all been getting these books with new rules, some additional lore, the occasional new model here and there, and so on. So essentially that's what's been happening. And this week, I'm not going to be talking about like every single fucking thing that's happened, because there's really...
Let's at least mention them, though. Like, it began with, what was it? Rise of the Phoenix was first, right?
Yeah, it began with Rise of the Phoenix... Or wait, is that? Blood of the Phoenix.
Blood of the Phoenix.
Blood of the Phoenix, which saw new rules go to Craftworld Eldar, Inari, Eldar, and Drukhari, and I think Harlequin's got something in there. So basically all Eldar.
Yeah, like all of the Eldars got something. Like Craftworld's got something, Drukhari got something, Harlequin's got something. They all got,
like, I said. I just said that.
My boy, don't be stepping on my toes. Let me speak.
For fuck's sake. I just said... Okay, also on top of all that, we got some 2 new models for two Phoenix Lords, which if you don't know who they are, they're essentially these Eldar.
They're like the Eldar leader of Craftworld or something.
They're essentially like, so if for Craftworld Eldar, there's like different aspect shrines, like the Dire Avengers, the Warp Spires, the Dark Reapers, and so on. The Phoenix Lords they all specialize in different type of combat. So essentially, the Phoenix Lord is the one who started that, whose soul is binded to their armor. So the next Eldar that wears his or her armor becomes part of it. The
Eldar cowards changed my mind.
Fuck you. Essentially, they can keep the Phoenix Lord can keep going by keep reincarnating in these different bodies because their soul stays there. Anyway, so we got 2 new models for these, and 2 new models for Janzar, the Phoenix Lord of the Banshee of the Scream Banshees, and I don't remember the Drukhari one because I don't like the Drukhari. But let me just quickly find it real quick. but the Drukhari also got a new model. Let me just find his name. Drazar.
Oh yeah,
Drazar. So guys, who's essentially a fallen Phoenix Lord. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. That's what happened with that.
after that, I'm pretty sure that was Blood of Ball. After
that was not Blood of Ball.
Was it? What came after that?
No, it was not. After that came Faith and Fury.
Oh yeah, Faith and Fury, where they added what's it called? So finally, my fucking boys, the Chaos Space Marines, got to start collecting kit.
Yeah, kind of. So basically, what happened with Faith and Fury was we got basically a pretty big, good sized book that had rules for Black Templars and then almost every single Chaos Space Marine faction. Mm-hmm. Black Templars, and I want to point this out. It's not really it's kind of a codex, I guess. It's what's
it called? It's the same thing as Blood of Ball. It's like it's a mini codex.
It's like a mini codex because Black you're still not gonna be able to use a Black Templar. You're still not gonna be able to use a Black Templar army, and also for people who don't know what Black Templars are, they're essentially they're a
non-heretical heretical group. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, who are successor chapter of the Imperial Fists, but neither chapter likes to acknowledge the other.
Yeah, like the Black Templars are so they're so batshit insane with all of their just fuck the rules mentality that they were vendors alongside all of the traitor legions. But the really good thing about Faith and Fury is that they finally added more units and rules for the Sisters of Battle. Yeah, that's a Sororitas.
That wasn't in Faith and Fury. That was its own thing.
That wasn't Faith and Fury?
No, that was unrelated to anything Psychic Awakening.
Bro, the fuck? Wait, actually?
I'm serious. That was not Faith and Fury.
All the articles I was reading and stuff, they always would bring those two together. I thought they were tied. Never mind. Wow.
No, they just okay. Another thing that kind of happened was Sisters of Battle came back. They got brand new models, but we're not really talking about that. We're talking Psychic Awakening.
Only thing we'll say about that, the models are beautiful. Holy
Love
shit.
Them. You can there's a fucking guy with an organ for a head. Anyway, so after that we got Faith and Fury. We got new rules for pretty much every Chaos Space Marine faction. It was a little disappointing, being honest. It wasn't what people were hoping for, because people were hoping for a lot more. Because for Chaos Space Marines, if you don't know, they just have, unlike Space Marines, for example, which have each chapter basically has their own codex. Chaos Space Marines have basically one codex
and no supplements.
And no supplements besides Faith and Fury, which basically is just hey, you can use these. You can also add these rules to the basic rules, but not enough to.
It's not enough where it warrants an actual quote unquote reboot of the faction, because bro, I'm over here. I've been wanting to make a World Eaters army for the longest time, but for the love of God, I want something that isn't it's something that I always talk about, which is I really like
models or rules here, because I'm talking about rules.
I'm talking about models and rules.
Okay, well, I just want to. Okay,
because with Chaos Space Marines, if you're not Black Legion, GW doesn't give a shit.
Basically, as much as I fucking love Abaddon and Black Legion, basically
fuck Abaddon.
Okay,
this is gonna come back into discussion, and
it definitely will. But basically, what's been happening is there's no real point to running any other thing any other type of army besides Black Legion, because there aren't enough rules for the other factions. Plus, just in general, you're not getting that many. The rules aren't. There's no reason to run other factions, because if they don't have their own codex, which, by the way, the only two Chaos Space Marine factions that have codexes are Thousand Suns and the Death Guard. If you don't have a codex, there's no reason to run that, because there aren't enough rules to make it worth it, and they're generally not good enough.
And also, usually if you don't have a codex, your units are available to the Black Legion or anything like that.
Yeah, so, and on top of, if you're playing Black Legion, you get Abaddon, who's really fucking good.
Jesus Christ.
He's really fucking strong, so there's basically no reason to run any other army. Of course, if you love those other
not just that, but literally, you can run Black Legion just for the fact that you can run all of the like key models of the other factions, and usually, and like in the case of World Eaters and Emperor's Children, that's literally all they have right now.
Yeah, like
Death
like what do you? Entire fucking army.
Yeah, like no, Death Guard at least like you get like a Primarch, you get some key models that you don't have access to.
At least you get a Primarch. At least you get a Primarch.
Honestly,
that's like the most you can get. That's like the best thing you can get is a fucking Primarch.
Bro, fucking like, come on, Mortarian's a sexy model. Anyways, like the thing with the fucking World Eaters and the like, I'll start with the World Eaters because the other guys have it worse. Like Emperors have it worse, but World Eaters. Oh, I have the Berserkers and I have Karn. What do I get? Like, what do I get for picking them? Like, what do I get for picking Black Legion over them? I miss out on Karn. Like, Karn is a really nice looking model, but he's not that good in the game if you want to think about it in a meta way. Like, he's just a stronger Berserker.
Yeah, but the other thing is that since those other factions don't have enough units, it's not like where like if you don't know this, Space Marines essentially have their one General Space Marine Codex, and then every other faction has a Codex supplement. You can they have this massive pool of units they can pull from. So while one faction might have like 10 units, one Space Marine chapter may only have 10 units exclusive to them that only they can use. They can pull from a pool of like over a fucking 100 of other units that they can use. But for Chaos Space Marines, they just have that one generic pool, and even their special units aren't that special because Black Legion can use them. And if, say, for example, you just want to use World Eaters, well, World Eaters have Berserkers, and if you want
World Eaters, first, the fact that World Eaters, like in Battlescribe, the fact that World Eaters are just something that you choose as a Legion inside of the Chaos Space Marine pool already says enough. That's how limited they are. It's literally just the universal models plus Karn, and and what's it called?
And the Berserker. And to give an idea, generally what you'll see for a World Eaters army is literally just like 80 Berserkers. And Karn
it's literally what's it called?
That's it.
Yeah, not even a transport. It's literally what GW advertises when you search up World Eaters. One of their things is called like the Tide of Gore. It's literally just 45 Berserkers and Karn. Done.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty fun to play because Berserkers are fucking crazy, but
it's too basic. It's literally it's literally the joke about Russia and World War II. It's like if we throw enough people at the bullets, eventually they run out of bullets. That's basically how you're playing it. It's just you turn into a man who's controlling a fucking like zombie apocalypse. It's just how many bodies can I shove into this person before they die? Done.
But at the same time, it's not like the World Eaters the models aren't great competitively. They aren't great, and in general, they literally can pretty much
visually. They're also not great. Oh my god, my voice.
I'll disagree with you on that one actually, but still,
Berserkers don't look nice because like their models are from back in like what 02, 04?
I don't think they're that old actually.
I think they're back from like 012 or something. Because I found a box. At a store, like at the mall.
Okay.
And what, like, it said on the box itself, like, copyright 2012. And I'm just like, bro, the fuck. But yeah, like,
they're still I like them.
They could be better. Like literally, I've seen so many videos online on like how to make better looking models for them. I just like when I make my like because I like making homebrews. When I make my Chaos Space Marine homebrew, I'm not using 40k models for them. I'm gonna have leftover arms from the Chaos Space Marine kits that I'm gonna buy, and I'm gonna be using Blood Warriors from Age of Sigmar.
Okay, well, I was about to say, like, you can't... If it's not GW, then they're probably...
Oh, yeah, of course. But, like, I'm going to be running... What's it called? It's going to be Blood Warriors, because they literally just look better.
Hey.
There's a few ways that you can kit bash them. Like, they won't have the little, like, backpacks, like the power packs in the back, but, like, oh, cool. You missed out on some aesthetic.
I mean, you probably can still find them somewhere.
Well, you can put them on, but then like you get into a bit of a mess and like having to glue them on and all that. The models aren't made for it, but like.
And anyway, honestly, but we're getting really off topic. Point is, Chaos Space Marines are not in a good spot. Okay, moving on. After that, we got Blooded Ball, which was I'm gonna just lightning go through this.
Oh, love it!
you don't. Okay, basically, we got some more rules for Blood Angels and Tyranids. Tyranids got a major boost. Essentially, instead of choosing a Warlord trait, they can now choose these mutations, which can be anything from something has fucking wings to their damage to their shots have like poison to other stuff.
Hive Tyrants got wings now, baby.
Yeah, Hive Tyrants.
One thing I'm really happy. I'm not sure if this was because of Blood of Ball, but there's a new model called the Exocrine.
It's not new. I don't think
it's not. Okay, no. I think it might.
I don't think it is. So there's that, and then so Blood of Ball happened. The big thing that kind of happened to Blood Angels, if I can remember, was it's their Death Company models now could be intercessors. Anyway, so Blood Ball was the last thing we have, and now the thing that's being advertised, that's coming out is called Ritual of the Damned, which is essentially Dark Angels and Grey Knights versus Thousand Suns. Now, the big thing is that Grey Knights, after getting their codex, which was not very good in the first place, have not had anything for a fucking long time. So they've been in the shit for so long, and now they're finally getting rules. They
are straight up like the children of the Emperor himself. It's only natural for him to, abandon them.
Possibly, and yeah, okay. So anyway,
Emperor was a shit dad. Don't at me.
Yeah, he pretty much was. Anyway, so after fucking forever, we're finally going to talk about like what's actually been released this week. I love how we say we're going to talk about news and we go off a tangent about World Eaters. Anyway, thank goodness we weren't talking about Emperor's Children. Anyway, so
oh my god.
Anyway, so what they did over the course of the week, they released some little snippets of the rules for each faction's getting. So we've gotten snippets for all three: Thousand Suns, Dark Angels, and Grey Knights. There was also a little teaser of what the next book will be. So that we'll get to that later, but for now we're going to cover like what we got. So sorry. Okay, so I can't talk. I can't talk. Anyway, so to start off, we'll talk about Thousand Suns first, okay? So, Thousand Suns, basically what we got is, in the lore, okay, can I talk? Jeez. Fuck. Void.
Yeah, so you're having the stutter life. Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so, basically what's happening with Thousand Suns, now I can finally talk. So, in the teaser we got for Thousand Suns, we essentially got shown that they're getting essentially these cults and these new rule sets called cults. Essentially, what they are in the lore for Thousand Suns, if you're a Thousand Suns sorcerer, back way before Horus Heresy and all that, essentially you would choose when you're becoming a full-fledged sorcerer, you choose one of a couple different cults, which essentially specialize in one specific aspect of psychic abilities, like being like change or like time or something like that. So you would just basically focus on one thing. So the rules we got essentially made it so that way. Let me just check this. I want to make sure I got this right.
You should have got to choose like, hey, do I want to give you nightmares for the rest of my life, or do I want to just rip you in half with my fucking mind, bro?
Yeah, hold on. So where the hell is this thing? I'm trying to find where is it? Where is it? I thought you could there we go. Sorry. So basically what you can do is for every detachment of Thousand Suns you have, they can choose a cult now, which essentially will give them different buffs. So or different abilities. So we got how many cults so they showed off 1, 2, 3.
Wait, it's per detachment?
Yeah, per detachment.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So we got
if you have something that would, because like, sorry for interrupting, but like then if you have something that's really targeted towards like giving units more mobility, you could have a detachment of just like Terminators.
Technically. Anyway, so let's get. So we got shown off 3 different cults, and we also got shown off a new stratagem. Like it was weird because it's literally just these 3 and then a single stratagem, but whatever. So anyway, first cult we got shown was the Cult of Time, and it gives us the psychic power of time flux. So essentially, I think
Bro, fucking
So I think it just lets you use it, basically.
Thousand Suns out here just straight up using deals with the world. Stop time, head ass.
Well, wait, hold on. So basically, Time Flux has a warp to 5. If it's manifested, you can select one friendly Cult of Time infantry, and that's specific. It can only be in Cult of Time. Within 6 inches of the Psyker, you can return one destroyed model from that unit to the battlefield with all of its wounds remaining. Place it on in currency, whatever. If the unmodified result of the psych test was 9+, you can instead return up to D3 destroyed models from that unit to the battlefield with all their wounds remaining.
Heroes never die.
That doesn't make... Okay. So, anyway...
Bro, they're just straight up making Mercy and Warhammer now.
Basically, yeah. Just like, oh, you thought you wiped us off the point? Yeet. Well, that's only if you get a 9, so...
That's it's a 1 in 4 chance.
Well, you roll 2 dice.
Yeah, no, it's a 1 in 4 chance. Because your max is a 12, right?
Oh, yeah, true. Okay.
19, 11, 12.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's a 1... Oh, fuck, never mind. It's a 1 in 3 chance. I'm dumb.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. So, essentially, you can give that to your sorcerers. I could just imagine, having, one massive detachment. Just a shit ton of these. Imagine how many, you can just fucking raise... Because you can raise up to fucking 3 fucking infantry models at once. Mm-hmm. That's still regular Rubric Marines, but it's still pretty fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyway. So, next up...
It gives them survivability, which is really good.
I mean, the sorcerers are already pretty good. Rubric Marines are already pretty scary to go up against, but this makes it a little more freaky, because it's either they're blasting your shit out of you, or...
Yeah, because they were glass cannons. They just had a lot of firepower, but they didn't really have anything to do with defensiveness,
They're still pretty tanky. They're still fucking Marines. They're still tanky.
Yeah, they're still Marines, but
I fucking fight them weekly. They're tanky as shit still.
Well, yeah, they're tankier compared to you play Eldar, my guy. I'm sorry, you play paper.
Yeah, paper that can blow you to infinity.
Yeah, I know. You play the definition of glass cannons, but you still get what I mean by glass cannons. Yeah, you can have tankiness, but
I don't. I literally play an army that's based around if you blow at them in the wrong direction, they die. But I can blow you to the next fucking galaxy. This shit they are not glass cannons. They're just they're middle of the road.
What I mean by glass cannons is yeah, if you're attacking them with bolters, you're not gonna do too good because you're using bolters. But all it would take, honestly, is a well-placed Devastator squadron with glass cannons, and you're fucked. Because they can just start sniping down on all of your strong units.
I mean, they still got 24 inches.
Well, yeah, but it's not like what's it called? I know, but it's not like the the Death Guard. Because it's not like Death Guard where they have discussing resilience, or it's not
on top of whatever else they have.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like some other models where they're just straight up beefy and have ridiculous toughness. They have standard Space Marine toughness and no additional thing to help them.
I mean, they got Zeus Firestorm, which is fucking strong if it lands.
Yeah,
that's fucking terrifying.
They're models that are all just all of their abilities are towards offense. None of it is towards defense.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they're still fucking terrifying, but...
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, anyway, that was the Cult of Time. Next up is the Cult of Duplicity. So, this gives you a Warlord trait. So, obviously, you only give this to your fucking Warlord. It's called Duplicitious? Wait. Duplicitious Tactician. We're just going to act like I know...
Duplicitous Tactician.
Fuck you. Okay. Fuck you. At the start of the first battle...
Linguistics, boys. I study that shit.
No, you don't. Anyway.
Okay, not in university, but I do like taking a look at linguistics.
Okay, whatever. So basically at the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, you select up to D3 Cult of Duplicity units from your army. You remove those units and the Warlord from the battlefield. Then you set them up again following the normal deployment rules for those units and the mission being played. If you redeploy a transport model, all units embarked inside the model remain. So when it's set up. So basically, you get to fucking redeploy on your first turn.
You just straight up get like the bonus that warp spiders get.
Not really, because you still have to deploy within your deployment zone.
Okay, never mind.
Warp spiders are second turn. They follow like everything else.
Yeah.
So I guess it's good if you don't know where the enemy's deploying, and you're like, okay, I want to move this thing here. But like, I want to point out, I don't really know much about warlord traits for Thousand Suns. I don't know how good that is, but from what I've seen, like personally, I don't think that's that good craft world. I don't think that's that good of a warlord trait, to be honest. I don't think it's worth. Like, yeah, you get to redeploy, but it's like, okay, cool.
It's not worth compared to the other stuff you have access to.
At least I think. Again, I don't really know Thousand Suns warlord traits, but personally, I don't think that's that good. Okay, then last up, we got the Cult of Change. We get a Sorceress Arcana, which is a Capricus Crest. I think this is a relic. I think. I don't know. It's a thing. Or it's probably some rule they have. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so once per turn, when a psychic test is taken for a model 18 inches of a model with this relic, it is a relic, okay. With this relic, you can change the results of that psychic test as follows. If that model is from your army, you can change. If that model is from your army, you can change any roll of a 1 to a roll of a 6. Jeez. If that model is from your opponent's army, you can change any roll of a 6 to a roll of a 1. So you can literally just reverse Uno card. Oh, you rolled a 6 and a 1? Bam! 2 1s. Perils of the Warp. Actually, do you think? Actually, I'm not sure if that will be Perils of the Warp, because they might say it doesn't do that. But if you can, that's fucking great. Or you could just screw people over.
It's like the what's it called? Oh my god! Oh no, never mind, because that's exclusive to the That's exclusive to the Thousand Suns. I was gonna say, like, if you could run that shit in a fucking Black Legion, running that along with Master of Possessions, oh my god, that would be disgusting.
That would be, but at the same time,
I told you what the Master of Possession does, right?
Yeah, you did, and we're not getting into that.
That's quick. Like, to anyone who doesn't know, basically, Master of Possessions, I think it's like as long as an enemy psych is within 12 inches of it, any double number roll will cost Pearls of the Warp. So it's no longer just like double 1 or like double 12.
Double 6.
That's double 1. Oh yeah, true. No, you can't roll double 12. So yeah, if it's like a double 1 or double 12, fuck, double 1 or double 6.
Damn it.
Because that's how Pearls of the Warp kicks in. If it's not just on that, if there's Massive Possession within 12 inches, it's any double. So 1 1, 2 2, 3 3, 4 4, 5 5, and 6 6 all will trigger Pearls of the Warp.
Yeah.
It's nasty. I love it.
Yeah. So that's the most Zeech thing ever, though. Like, oh, you thought it was one thing, but it's the other. You succeeded? Well, fuck you. I sound like Magnus from Text-to-Speech. Jeez. If no one here's watched If the Emperor Had Text-to-Speech Device, go fucking watch it. It's great.
It's really good.
It's great. Anyway, so that was that. That was the three. That was the three cults we were shown. I'd imagine there's more. Anyway, so next up we get a single stratagem that to be shown. So it's called Risen Rubricae, which is use the stratagem when you set up a Rubric Brains unit from your army during deployment. That unit can be set up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches from the enemy deployment zone and any models. You can use this once per battle. What the hell?
That's really good.
Yeah, because like I know it's only one Rubric Brain. It's only one unit of Rubric Brains.
Well, considering how a unit of them is minimum 10.
Yeah, and the big thing is, and I've learned this the hard way, is that if for Thousand Suns, if you're playing a high psyker army and you just circle the enemy, that way you can deny everywhere, they're fucking screwed. So that would be pretty good if you just place a big squad. If you place a big squad of Rubric Brains, like say right next to the enemy, well, shit. Now they got to deal with fucking Rubric Brains right there on top of the psychic denies. and Zeech's Firestorm, which is still fucking powerful if it lands.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I'm not going to say that's like the best thing in the world, but it's still pretty good.
It's really useful because it's a stratagem. That's the good part. It's not like a warlord trait or something.
Yeah, you can just use it. So if you got a command point to spend, you can.
Yeah, exactly. And like considering how like what's it called? With a unit with a thing like that, you're definitely gonna have like command points to spare.
Yeah. And if I'm being honest, in terms of the cults, I personally the one I see getting like the most use will probably, from what we've seen out of the three, I think personally,
Time.
I was gonna say change, but yeah, that too.
Like time would change one of those two because holy shit, dude.
I can imagine using Cult of Time or Cult of Change on like because it's a relic. I can imagine putting this on something like Aramon because I think he has 3 denies. So if and he's got pretty tanky. So if you just have him in the center, well, deny, and he could just change roles, making him already more terrifying than he already was.
Or even what's it called? Cult of Change would 100% be like a godsend if you're running what's his name, Magnus in your army.
Yeah, or if you're just running Magnus or Aramon, it's good. You're probably going to give them this, or probably them, because I don't know how many times Magnus can deny. Because the weird thing for Magnus is his big thing is he just can fucking smite a lot. That's his thing. It's smite.
Well, yeah, but like, cause what's it called? Not just for deny, because it wouldn't be just for denies. You could just like I said, you could change any rolls of 1 to 6s on your end.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying. In lower point games where you're probably just using Aramon, which if you're a Thousand Suns player, use fucking Aramon. He's great. Use Aramon or like home, whatever the hell can replace Aramon, but still use Aramon's rules. Aramon's really good just because of his 3 denies, and he's surprisingly fast and good at melee, which is kind of funny.
Oh, because what's it called? 4 stabs are good at melee. His speed.
Disc.
Yeah, his speed is also on the disc, and he also gets because you can play him on or off the disc.
On. There's no reason to not have him on it.
Points.
That doesn't matter.
Well, he's like 70 points more.
You make room for him. Like, trust me, you make room for him. Also, I've never seen someone not have him on the disc because that's really.
I'm gonna have him not on the disc, but that's because I am running a homebrew. Because I'm running a homebrew.
Fair enough.
And what's it called? Because one thing is that a lot of this is gonna end up going back to like the whole Chaos Marine debate. All I'm gonna say, some of their models look really bad, and I just want models that look nice.
Okay, Abaddon is still my favorite. I gotta be honest, Abaddon's probably my favorite model.
Bro, Abaddon, I 100% agree with you. Abaddon's a beautiful model.
Okay, by the way,
it's ridiculous. Real quick, it's ridiculous that he has as much detail as a fucking Guilliman when he's an HQ and Guilliman's a Lord of War.
I also want to point this out, like, to give an idea of how much I fucking love Abaddon. For like when I was reading Talon of Horus, like I knew about Abaddon having a model, but I never really looked at it and then after I read Talon of Horus, which is that book. If you haven't read that book, if you're new to 40k, go fucking read it. If you're already in 40k and haven't read it, go fucking read it. It's so good. It's the reason I love Abaddon so much, because it essentially shows what kind of character he is, his thought process, and so on. And in this book, you get to, at the end, you really get this image of this powerful war master with wearing the Talon of Horus, Horus's own personal.
Not even that. His fucking sword is more impressive, bro.
I know. I'm just saying, with this Talon, with the twin mounted bolters, and like it's just. And then you look at this model, this gorgeous model. It's so stunning. It's so good.
And also, man just straight up has the fucking Drachnian.
Yeah. I also want to point this out. People were actually pretty mad that he won Model of the Year, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, he's fucking gorgeous. What else did you want to win? What else came out?
Do you know what's really dumb, in my opinion? The fact that people run Abaddon without the cape.
What do you mean without the cape? What the hell is wrong with people? Come
on. People run without the cape, and I don't get why. Like, I'm sorry, he looks really weird without the cape, but he looks phenomenal with the cape.
He's so good. I want to just say this now. I like the painting part of 40k, but if I'm not going to buy a model I'm not going to use, 9 times out of 10. I'm in this to play the game and paint. Abaddon is probably the only exception to that, where I would buy. Once I feel like I'm good enough with my painting, he's probably the only model I will get that I am just painting because he's phenomenal. Anyway, we're getting off topic. So overall, that was Thousand Suns. Overall, I think this is good. For sure, Cult of Change is going to be used. Like, I can't see why that wouldn't. And Cult of Time, I can imagine that definitely being used because that is a really good psychic power.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see that being used for the sorcerers. Okay. Any final comments on the Thousand Suns preview or no?
They be psychic. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Okay. Next up, we're going to move on to the Imperial side, and I want to. Okay, we're actually going to talk about the Dark Angels first because I want to save the best ones for last. So Dark Angels, if you didn't know, they're shit. They've been shit for so long. To give an idea, Dark Angels.
We don't mean to trigger anyone. We're not saying they're shit lore wise. We're just saying they're shit in game.
Yeah. To give an idea, they were in about as bad a place as Grey Knights, if not. But Grey Knights is more insulting because of what the Grey Knights are. Dark Angels have just been terrible. They've been up in a good place because if you don't know, Space Marines universally have these things called doctrines, which essentially give you army-wide buffs, and you can switch between them.
They literally are what made Space Marines go from one of the worst armies in 40k to one of the best armies in 40k.
Because you can keep switching these doctrines, and depending on your army, some get buffs for it. And it's
here's an example. An example of a doctrine. I am making a homebrew, but since I don't want to use like homebrew rules. I'm basically just for like all intents and purposes, they are Ultramarines when it comes to paperwork.
Sadly. Comes to paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Ultramarines, oh my god, they're fucking powerful. Like, okay, their doctrine, yeah, they're so boring in lore, but they're so powerful in game. Like, okay, their doctrine, it wasn't. I forget what it's called right now. It's like something.
Isn't it Bolter lore?
No, Bolter discipline is something that everyone has.
I want to point this out though. Doctrine. This is just the doctrine they start in. Like,
yeah, no.
Armies can switch between doctrines.
No, that's that's the Ultramarine doctrine. I think it's exclusive to them because you do have exclusive doctrines.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's here, Sands of Gilliman. That's what it was called. So while it's active, models with the ability to move during the movement phase, but didn't as long as you don't advance or fall back. In terms of abilities, it counts as your movements. It counts that your models didn't move. So you know how with heavy weapons, you get a disadvantage whenever you move and then fire them in the same shooting phase? It'll ignore that. That seems very mediocre until you realize what that lets you do with Bolter Discipline. The synergy is...
It sounds like Iron Hands.
No, because that's the thing.
The same thing.
No, I know, but that's not That's not the super important part. The super important part is just how synergetic it is. Because Iron Hands is as long as you can move with heavy and not be disadvantaged.
Oh, true.
The reason that the wording is different is because then it gives you so much synergy with Bolter Discipline. Because Bolter Discipline has a effect. Let me pull it up so I don't say it wrong. Here, Bolter Discipline. It has an effect where... Here, if you have a rapid-fire weapon, as long as... Here, the firing model remains... So, all Adeptus Astartes and Heretic Astartes, blah, 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 rapid-fire weapons, they have to get these bonuses. One is if you're within half the range, they get double the hits. So if it's rapid-fire 2, you're actually hitting 4 times instead of 2 times. But here, the firing model remains stationary during its previous movement turn. Which means, even if you move as an Ultramarine army, you guys are still attacking twice.
Yeah. So that's pretty damn good.
Even at Even at 24 range, 24 inches of range, an entire squadron of 10 intercessors, each of them was going to be shooting twice.
Yeah.
Which is nutty, to say the least.
So crazy. But anyway, so basically, a good chunk of the armies have had access to these doctrines, but a lot of them have not. To give an idea, a bunch of chapters got their own codex supplements. For example, Salamanders, Imperial Fist, so on. They got access to doctrines finally. Dark Angels are only just getting access to doctrines, which in my opinion is terrible that it took them this long. But doctrines single-handedly are what take a Space Marine army from being shit to being fantastic, because those doctrines are very, very fucking good.
Even if their key doctrine is bad, it takes them from being shit to being decent and playable.
Because
you can win a match with them.
Yeah, because you can still switch between the other dozens of doctrines. And also, not to mention, your army will have rules where if you're in a specific doctrine, you get buffs. Anyway, so that's basically what it is. Dark Angels now have. Dark Angels now have what?
When are they going to give that to the Death Watch?
We'll see. I think they already have it. I think they already have it though.
They don't have doctrines because they do have abilities though that are kind of like doctrines, I guess. An example is
the special issue.
Not just those; it's other things. They are the only faction where they're correct. Anyone in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong. They are the only faction where their intercessors can actually use different weapons. And what I mean is, if you're running a regular army, all your intercessors need to be using the same weapons. So either all of them are using bolters, all of them are using assault bolters, or all of them are using stalker bolters.
I don't think that's right.
It is. Sure? Because even in Battle Scribe, when you're picking, it's not weapon, it's unit weapon.
That's really weird. To be fair, I play Death Guard and Eldar, so like I don't know.
No, it's completely different. It's completely different when it comes to Chaos.
Okay. By the way,
in Chaos, you can run heavy weapons and regular things as well. Not with Space Marines, you have to be running like a Devastator squad to have access to heavy weapons.
I'm just gonna stop you right there. I really want to get on with the news. Hung up too much.
Yeah, so we gotta finish that.
So Dark Angels. So they now have access to doctrines finally, but also that kind of has been coming with Ritual of the Damned. We also got a new model for one of their main characters, Lazarus. Is it Lazarus? Yeah, Lazarus. I don't know much about him, but he has a new model. It looks quite good. We're not going on a tangent about him yet. So in the Dark Angels preview, we actually got some previews for one of his weapons. A good idea. For example, he has his weapon, Enmity's Edge, which is melee. It's melee. It has a strength of +2, so it's whatever his strength is +2. It has AP -4, by the way.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and has D3 damage, which is very good for melee. Then it has an ability. So when resolving an attack made with this weapon against a Psyker unit, you are able to re-roll the wound roll, and you can re-roll the damage roll.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. You can re-roll both if you fail. That's pretty good. You also get access to He also has an ability called the Spirit Shield Helm. So when a friendly Dark Angels unit within 6 inches of Lazarus would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, you can roll a d6, adding 1 to the result, and if the okay, whatever. Basically, on a 5-up, when a model nearby within 6 inches is about to take a mortal wound, you roll d6 and you add 1. If it's a 5-up, they don't take a wound. So that's all right. That's pretty good.
The other great thing about the Dark Angels is they are fucking getting Primaris Marines.
They've always had Primaris Marines.
Did they?
Yeah, they've always had. Literally, when Primaris Marines came out, you just had to buy a Primaris upgrade kit, and that was it. Then you could just have Primaris Marines. It's always been that. So they've always had Primaris Marines.
Oh, the fuck!
The only chapters that don't. The only chapter I think that doesn't is Grey Knights.
Oh no! I'm dumb. It's that Lazarus is not Primaris. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I got what I read confused.
Okay. Anyway, so next up we got their big faction ability for doctrines. So like what ability? So basically, this is an ability they get whenever they have specific doctrine up. So it's called Relentless Hunt. While the Devastator doctrine is active, the range characteristic of all heavy and rapid-fire weapons equipped on Dark Angels units with this ability is increased by 6 inches, and the range characteristics of all assault and pistol weapons is increased by 3 inches. I'd say that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go on saying this is the best thing in the world. It's good. It is good. Increased range is good.
It's not legendary, but it's good.
It's pretty good. We also got some chapter specific litanies for the chaplains,
Mm-hmm.
and they also have the interrogator chaplains, which, by the way, is one of the Primaris interrogator chaplain is one of my favorite models for 40k because he's awesome, and it's not just because I played him Space Hulk Deathwing. Anyway,
you weren't the best interrogator chaplain as well, but anyways,
fuck you. Anyway, so basically,
I'm sorry, you just died too quickly.
If you don't know what litanies are, basically chaplains can give this kind of passive buff.
It's basically a prayer.
Yeah, essentially it's a prayer and gives certain buffs. So they get angel interrogator chaplains get access to something called Stoic Prosecution. If the litany is up, then when a friendly Dark Angel's infantry unit within 6 inches, Okay, so let me just reread this. If this litany is inspiring, then when a friendly Dark Angel's infantry unit that is within 6 inches of this unit and did not advance or fall back this turn is chosen to shoot with, Mauls in that unit can shoot with ranged weapons as if their unit had remained stationary. So anything within 6 inches that moved can shoot.
It's basically not just that. It's basically the Sounds of what's it called? Sounds of Gilliman.
Yeah.
Like the Ultramarine thing, but as a litany, which is phenomenal.
So it's for a turn, though.
Yeah.
I don't think you can chant the same one twice.
Can you not?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's also it's a chance. It's not guaranteed either. You have to roll for it. At least I think so. Anyway, so we also got, I think, is there 2? Sorry. Wait, let me just double check. Okay, so we also got a Warlord trait shown. A Warlord trait for the Raven Wing, the second company of the Dark Angels, aka the one I don't like, or the one I least like, because my favorite one's Deathwing. They're awesome, but Deathwing are famously bad. Yeah, but Deathwing are famously bad because unless you're Death Guard, Terminators are pretty bad in general.
Yeah.
Like even that, like the only other army I think that uses Terminators and they work kind of well is Thousand Suns, but you're not using a whole lot of them. Meanwhile, for Death Guard, you're fucking using a ton of Terminators because they're great. Anyway, so basically, it's a Warlord trait. At the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, this Warlord and one other Ravenwing unit from your army can move up to 12 inches as if it were your movement phase. They cannot advance as part of this move. Those units must end those moves more than 9 inches away from enemy models. If both players have units that can move before the first turn begins, the player who is taking the first turn moves their units first. So basically, you get to do a bit of an extra movement at the start of the first battle round. Is that good?
Yeah.
I mean, Raven Wing's all about moving fast. Because they're all like they're basically all on bikes and gunships, so I guess that's good. I guess. I don't know. I kind of expect a little more from that, if I'm gonna be honest.
Well, there's still more to come in the future.
Yeah, it's kind of like whatever. So that's that. We then got a relic for Deathwing specifically. It's called the Key of Arkrabal. I think that's how you say that. I probably mispronouncing that. I think it's, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. So it can be only equipped by Deathwing model. Basically you add 1 to the strength and attack characteristics of a model with this. That's it, but I want to keep in mind Deathwing Terminator Knights are pretty fucking strong. So that's pretty good, actually. That's pretty good. Again, not gonna act like this is like this isn't okay. From this preview, I'm not seeing anything that it's not like we're not getting anything as big as what we got with Thousand Suns by any means whatsoever. But this is good stuff. It at least moves them a bit out of it. Okay. So yeah, it's not great.
Locust. Did his internet just die mid recording?
But it's okay.
Hello? Okay, yeah. I don't know if that was your Wi-Fi or if that was my Wi-Fi, but someone's Wi-Fi just died.
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm still here. Hi, I'm still here. Okay, I'm still here. Yours. Okay, so anyway, basically it's all right. It's not great. It's not terrible. So far. Anyway, so we also got a stratagem, and then that's it. Yeah, so we got stratagem. So it's use a stratagem at the end of your movement phase when you set up a Deathwing unit from your army using the teleport strike ability. You can set up that unit wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Ravenwing biker unit that has not advanced this turn and more than 6 inches away from enemy models. So basically, this I do find good because essentially you can rush in with Ravenwing, whichever, and then just drop a fucking Terminator right there, like a Deathwing Terminator.
Yeet the Terminator. Yeet the Termy. Yeet the Termy.
This is pretty good. My only issue is that's 2 CP.
Yeah, that's kind of That's kind of costly.
I can imagine doing this with like if you're going for a big strike, but and also at the same time you're risking your Ravenwing biker.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's pretty good, but it probably can be. It gets your Terminators like really in fast. So I think we are probably going to see some more Terminators used. I don't know. Okay, but yeah. Final thoughts on the Dark Angels preview.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I the big thing is the doctrines. Like I don't know, maybe they'll get better when you see the full release. I kind of hope so because it's all right. It's nothing.
Hello.
Like so far, this isn't anything earth-shattering. But to be fair,
whose Wi-Fi is dying?
Most Space Marine chapters are like this. Hi.
Yeah, I can.
Oh shit! I think it might be mine. Anyway, can you hear me? Okay. Anyway, so most Space Marine chapters are like this. Some are broken, but usually it's just they're all right. I'd say they're in a good from these rule sets. Just the doctrines themselves puts them in an all right place. Okay, this preview I'm going to just leave at is all right. I'm not going to say.
Well, it's not even fully out yet, so there's not like.
Yeah. For all we know,
we haven't had the experience to,
Yeah, so for all we know, there could be some big game-changing rules on the book. We will see. But now on to the one that I'm actually really excited about. So the Grey Knights. Now, like
for anyone who doesn't know, the Grey Knights are basically the Emperor's kids.
I don't know that for sure.
They are the Emperor's kids. Okay.
It's rumored that their gene seed is from the Emperor himself.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, who the Grey Knights are, they're essentially a secret chapter of Space Marines who are entirely psychers, and their whole purpose is to hunt and exterminate demons in secret. And if someone ever finds out about the Grey Knights, they either have their memory wiped by the Grey Knights, which has happened to multiple Space Marine chapters after fighting demons with them. Or
like the War of Armageddon, for example.
Yeah.
The Wars of Armageddon, after, fucking Eldrad decided to be a dick for the 50,000th time in his life. They got shit got so bad with the orcs that they straight up had to be like, yo, we gotta send in the Grey Knights. Like, shit's fucked down there.
Yeah.
From what I remember. Actually, I'm pretty sure even the Imperial Fists were sent, and that was like the first time they left Terra in like 50 fucking years or something. Like, it wasn't a long ass time.
Yeah, and because the Imperial Fist got sent. I know a guy, Imperial Fist named Slaughter, was pretty big there. He helped Vulcan also. Anyway, basically, Grey Knights, big deal, very hidden. They're very powerful in the lore.
If you see them, and you ain't important to the Imperium, you're getting clapped.
Basically. But in the game, they have been pretty shit for a long time because they haven't had doctrines, and that previously mentioned large pool of Space Marine units, they don't have access to.
Access. They only have their units. And like I was really looking to build an army, but then I saw that they're basically all Terminators, and I was really turned off because they're slow.
They're very slow. Their big gimmick is that they all have Smite, not Thousand Suns, Scientious Firestorm, Smite. They all have that. They are all, that was their whole gimmick, but they also don't have doctrines. Their range of units is not very big, and they're not very good in general because they're high point cost and so on. But I kind of think what we get here might help a lot. So basically, something he introduces, I was theorizing that and some other people were theorizing that they would get doctrines. What we got instead was something very different. We didn't get doctrines. They got their own version of doctrines called tides. And essentially, they work very similarly. You basically, I think, as far as I know, you can just choose a tide. They get a new basically they get a new psychic ability called psychic ability called Warp Rule, which lets you change tides. It makes you put one in an activation and you can change between them. They don't say how much its warp value is, but you're able to do it. So to give an idea, so here are the different tides. So first off, we got shown 1, 2, 3, 4. We get shown 4 of them. There might be more, but we don't know. So the first one we get shown is Tide of Fury, and again, you can switch between these. So while a tide is dominant, when resolving an attack made with a nemesis weapon by an infantry model with this ability, you can reroll wound rolls of 1. So that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Not great, but it's pretty good. I don't know much about Grey Knights, so I don't know how common nemesis weapons are. I assume that's just their regular weapons, whatever. Next up is Tide of Convergence. While the tide is dominant, you add 1 to the strength and damage characteristics of psi weapons the infantry models with this ability are equipped with. That's pretty good. That's all right, I guess. Not going to say it's anything OP. Then we get Tide of Shadows, which is while this tide is dominant, a unit with this ability receives the benefit of cover to its saving throw, even while it is not entirely on or within terrain feature. When resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon against a unit with this ability, while it is entirely on or within a terrain feature, subtract 1 from the hit roll. That's also pretty good. These seem very situational, where you can change these per turn, so I don't see these being too bad. Then we get Tide of Escalation. While this tide is dominant, when a unit with this ability and Rites of Banishment ability manifests the Smite psychic power and is not resisted, the power inflicts 1 additional mortal wound on the target. I don't like this one that much because if you get Smite off, that's great, but here's the other issue. So if someone knows you're in Tide of Escalation, they're just going to go to hell and back to make sure you don't get Smite off.
Yeah.
So that's they're just going to really be careful of that. So I don't see what the point of that is. I feel like that's one as strong as it could be. Now here's the other one that I know for a fact people try and fucking stop. They get a new psychic ability called Empyrean Domination, and this thing is a little broken, actually, if I'm gonna be honest. Again, this is just a psychic power. It has a warp charge value of 7, and if you manifest it, you gain 1 command point. You just gain it. That's it. If you manifest it, it has and 7, a warp charge of 7. You could just keep essentially having a specific unit dedicated to just grinding this out. So yeah.
What the fuck?
So it's just that's really good. A little too good. But at the same time, I mean, if they get some OP command stratagems, then well, fuck, because that's really, really good, and that's not a high warp charge. That's not high at all. That's just standard. I would have expected this to be like super high or something. But no, this is really like fucking easy.
I guess it's to circumvent the fact that they have like no models. At least give them,
fucking command points, really?
Yeah, because I guess like if they get stratagems that help them make their current model. Because okay, if they go for something that's kind of like Custodes, to be honest, that could really work. Where if they, what's it called? I'm trying to remember how to say this. If
Don't
it's like,
try and say make Custodes stronger.
No, of course not. What I'm trying to say is like if they're going for something like Custodes, where it's very like a very low number of units, but they're all like overbearingly powerful.
But that's not what's going on here. They're all unbearably weak.
I know. So if they start giving them stratagems that make them powerful, and their whole shtick is gonna be stratagem usage, I'm 100% for that, to be honest.
Yeah, because there are some armies that you just basically use stratagems. Period.
Yeah.
To give an idea, for me in Craft World, I use one stratagem. That's it. I only use one stratagem in game because it's it's good one, but it's only that. Actually, speaking of stratagems, we get a preview of one stratagem called Empiric Surge. It is one command point, and use this stratagem in your Psychic phase. After a Grey Knight Psyker unit from your army has manifested its power, until the end of that phase, when a Psychic test is taken from a friendly Grey Knight Psyker unit within 6 inches of that unit, you add 1 to the total. So that's pretty good, I'd say. Makes it a little harder to deny. So I can imagine trying to get off Smite or something, using this, and then immediately going for Imperium Domination to get back.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so then we get a a relic called Stave or Supremacy.
Is it STAVE?
Yeah.
Stave.
A model with a Nemesis warding only a model with a Nemesis warding stave only. When a Psychic test is taken for an enemy model within 18 inches of a model with this relic, the enemy model suffers Perils of the Warp on any roll of a double.
Wait, repeat.
Basically, if a Psyker has this relic, any Psyker within 18 inches of this model, enemy Psyker, suffers Perils of the Warp on any roll of a double.
Okay, so Master Possession.
Yeah, which is pretty good. I don't know if this is a good relic. I think it's a good relic, but I don't know what the Grey Knight's relics are. I'd imagine. I'd imagine that's good because the Grey Knights are getting some good shit here. Like I gotta be honest here. The Tides are all right, but like I hope we get better ones. But seriously, that Psychic ability, the stratagem's all right, and then the stave is pretty good. We also get some new litanies too, because I didn't know they had. I remember they had chaplains, but they do. So they got some more litanies. Basically, it's so if this litany is inspiring, you select. It's called Recitation of Projection. If this litany is inspiring, select one friendly Grey Knights unit within 6 inches of this model. You add 6 to the range characteristics of bolt weapon, psi weapon model, and psi weapons models in that unit are equipped with. So that's pretty good. You get more range.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Okay, overall, I'm kind of liking what the Grey Knights are getting. I personally think they got more than Dark Angels they needed, because they kind of got to.
What was it? You cut out a bit.
Okay. Basically, I was just saying. Personally, I think the Grey Knights got a lot better in the preview wise. Just from the previews, Grey Knights are looking to be really good. Dark Angels are kind of just looking all right. Grey Knights are kind of looking really good. I think they'll probably get some more use out of this. I don't think they're going to be like meta or anything, but I think they'll be all right. I'm not too like, I don't know if it's worried. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll finally be in a good place. Anyway, so that was it for the Ritual of the Damned previews.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
No, there was one more thing. So we got a new preview for the next book in the Psychic Awakening line. I don't think we got a name for it. Let me go double check. I don't think it was given a name. I mean, the story was, but I don't. Yeah, it's okay. So it's called Psychic Awakening: The Greater Good. So you can imagine who this is focusing on. The worst fashion in 40K, Tau.
Dumbass weeaboo space communists.
Overused joke from Russian Badger. Anyway, so basically,
Evangelion, but they are Evangelion, but Warhammer. They are Gundam, but Warhammer. They are Gurren Lagann, but Warhammer. Pacific Rim head ass.
Those four things don't go together whatsoever.
They're all mechs. My point has been stated. They're all mechs, and I love it.
All right. Anyway, so going on. Basically, it's a it's not any rules preview, but it's essentially a just a little story. It's called the Beyond the Startide Nexus. Basically, it's about these two Tau receiving a message from what's her name? Essentially, it's about these two Tau commanders on the ship receiving a message from the leader of the Firecast, which is the leader of essentially the warriors for the Tau. She's like, "Hey, I went to this planet. I went to this specific. What was it called? What did they call it again? It was where the hell is it? I'm trying to find this thing. It was called these like spheres. It's basically they're like colonies. They went to these colonies. They found out, okay, they got attacked by something. It's really gross. It's like, what the hell? And then as the story goes on, these two Tau are watching this message from their leader. And as it goes on, you kind of get to learn, okay, the Tau they found that were alive, or like something was wrong with them. And then over the course of the story, they talk about how, oh, I know the Imperium, the Imperial ones, aka the Imperium of Man, Space Marines, are barbaric and like primitive, but they're not this barbaric and primitive, and they don't spread disease everywhere. So these are worse.
The communists are gonna have to be fighting AIDS.
Basically,
they're fighting the spread of herpes. They're fighting Nurgle.
Yeah, boy. So basically, as if I'm reading this right, Greater Good is going to be Tau versus Death Guard, which is very interesting to me. Because the Tau are about to get their asses whooped because they don't exactly have good track record with this. Oh, I'm so excited for this. I am so excited for this because like I play, like, one of the armies I play is Death Guard. But a big thing that's always bugged me about them was like we said earlier, they're about middle of the road. But a big thing that's always bugged me about them has been how they're kind of the thing is they're very basic. They don't have a whole lot of rules. They're just, here's the army. Here's the two rules we got. Go have fun. But if you look at armies like Craft War, but the thing is, in the lore, they have these different plague companies / different war bands that all have their own ways about going about things. Like, for example, one faction uses a lot of demon engines, one uses a lot of poxwalkers, one uses a shit ton of plague marines, or some even use a lot of psychers, which is very different for.
That is very weird, yeah.
Yeah, which is very weird. But the thing is, they're just lore. They don't have any rules. So, but when you look at factions like Eldar, for example, each of their craft worlds, or most of them, have different abilities for each. So, like, you at the beginning of the game, you get to pick a craft world ability. So it's kind of like makes you wonder, okay, why don't Death Guard have that if they have all these plague companies that all work very differently? So when you look, so I'm really hoping we get some rules for the plague companies, because like it would just be cool. Nothing big, but just like a small rule here and there, similar to craft world abilities. But the only big changes I want from this are, like, is I just really hope for this. Again, I don't know. I'm not even going to talk about the Tau because I don't play Tau and I don't really care about the Tau. But for me, what I really want to see out of this for Death Guard is because they do share some of the basic Chaos Space Marine stuff, like their demon engines specifically. I really hope that for demon engines they get discussing resilience, because that's like the big Death Guard gimmick. Like the reason Death Guard players don't use other demon engines that aren't Death Guard is because they don't have discussing resilience, and there's no point to it. I really want Chaos Lords. We don't use those either because if people don't know, Chaos Lords essentially let you reroll rolls of 1, and if you're playing Chaos Space Marines, you basically must use them.
Yeah.
For Death Guard, those would be great because Death Guard with Plague Weapons already get to reroll rolls of 1. That would help with even more. But the thing is, they don't get disgusting resilience. So what's the point of that? They're not tanky, so there's no point. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Basically, they don't get disgusting resilience. And sorcerers also don't get disgusting resilience, so we just have the malignant Plaguecaster, which is only all right. And on top of everything else, our psychic abilities are pretty shit. They're not very good, which is a bit of a shame. Because Psychers in Death Guard, I know in the lore, Death Guard famously do not like Psychers. They don't like them. They keep them around because they understand they're important, but they don't like them very much. But the thing is, if you look in the books and like the lore and everything, the Psychers they do have are fucking strong. They're really powerful. They're not just smite here and there. They're doing some crazy shit like summoning hordes of demons, creating these massive system-wide plagues, or like they're just doing a lot. They do a lot more than they do in the game. To give an idea, Typhus, like the champion of Nurgle, is in the lore is a incredibly strong psyker who's able to create massive illusions, and he's just so strong. He's at one point he's considered one of the strongest psychers in the Space Marine Legions back before the Horus Heresy. He was so super strong, but you don't see that. So I'm really hoping we get some more like psychic abilities that make them good, aren't just like support, are just that do a little more. On top of like already a bunch of demon engines getting disgusting resilience, Chaos Lord getting disgusting resilience, like those kind of things getting disgusting resilience. Yeah, like just general buffs to more things getting disgusting resilience and craft world abilities. Because other than that, like we said, the armor's already middle of the road. I'd like something that puts them up a little bit more to give people more, because people play Death Guard as a starting army. You're not seeing people really go out of their way to play Death Guard, which kind of sucks. So also another thing is the Tallymen. Their whole gimmick is when you
7.
Yeah, if you roll a 7, they can only move 7 inches. But when you roll a 7, they can give you back a command point. But the thing is, they're supposed to be similar to chaplains. They're like the Death Guard version of chaplains, but they don't have litanies. So I'm kind of hoping we also get some litanies too.
You wouldn't get litanies. You get what's it called, Dark Prayers.
Something similar, because like
It's the
seriously,
same thing that the Dark Apostle has in Black Legion armies.
Yeah, why don't
if
we
the
have
Tallyman
that?
got something like that? It'd be good.
Yeah, because that's what they are. We also can't use the Dark Apostle. Yeah. Anyway, so that's it. That's it for news, actually.
That took a long time.
Well, I mean, we also got sidetracked half a dozen times.
Yeah, but also there has been a lot of things. We just covered basically the entirety of I don't know the name. We basically just covered the entirety of Psychic Awakening.
Yeah, which I didn't want to originally, but then
Now on to the lore discussion. It's actually really fitting because we are talking about Nurgle. And one thing that I raised to Locust before we started recording is we do have a whole chaos themed thing here.
Podcast. As you can tell, I'm one of my main armies is Death Guard. They're my favorite faction, and Void over here fucking loves corn.
Yeah. Honestly, I have like all of the Berserkers give me Doom Guy vibes. and I fucking love it. Not in the way I was like, because I know people are gonna get like, "What the fuck, Dunga hits teams?" I mean, like, just the shout into battle, go in and rip shit apart vibe. I love it.
Doesn't shout.
He is silent hatred incarnate.
Yeah, it's great.
So there's something I'll get to later if we like on another episode, which is fucking something. But
So anyway, we were talking about Nurgle.
What we were talking about is since we had got the whole chaos thing, Locust kind of ruined the surprise. But
fuck you.
What I wanted to do is I since we have this whole like chaos theme going on the podcast, why the fuck not start with the Chaos Gods? So we're gonna be publishing episodes hopefully weekly, and honestly, we're just gonna like weekly for our discussions talk about each of the Chaos Gods, and we're gonna cover them from youngest to oldest. Oldest to youngest.
Yeah. So we're gonna start. Well, I don't even think. Okay, whatever. We're gonna cover them. We're gonna cover them. Yeah, in that order. And then after the Chaos Gods, we're going to just start going with a different faction every week, and just keep going. And
not every week, every like chunk.
Yeah.
Check.
But every
I can't
episode.
wait until people start asking us to cover every single chapter weekly. That's going to be a year.
We're eventually going to hit that point. You know that, right? Eventually.
We will, but
we're going to run out of shit. We're going to avoid it, and then we're going to run out of shit to talk about. Run out of things that aren't chapters. Anyway, so that's the general idea. We're just going to have a quick discussion about a specific faction or group or whatever about 40k lore. And
if you're new, sorry to interrupt, but like if you're new, you can almost take this as like a little lesson. It's not going to be very formal if you're looking for like a very detailed thing on like how each of the gods works. There are better videos out there, or you can just read from the wiki.
Yeah, and if I want to, like I said, we are not, like we said earlier, we are not experts in the lore. So what I will do is every week for discussion, I will try and find an article or a YouTube video or something that covers the topic in greater detail, and I'll put in the description. That way you can actually go to a reliable source if you want to learn more. Yeah. So I will be doing that for every video if I can. If there is not a good source out there, I'll put a recommendation for maybe a book or something.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get there. Anyway, so
also, just a heads up, I might crash the 5th recording session because there is a 5th Chaos God out there that a lot of people don't know about.
5th Chaos God that I didn't even know about, so this will be interesting.
So I will not tell you anything until we get to the 5th session, and don't search it up. It's going to be a secret. Anyways, so let's get on with the sentient ball of AIDS known as Nurgle.
AKA Best Chaos God. Anyway, so Nurgle, basically he's the Chaos God of rot,
AIDS,
decay, and growth. His main army, or the main faction below him are the Death Guard, which are the 15th Traitor Legion of the Legiones Astartes, and so on. Their Primarch, or their leader, was Mortarion, one of the sons of the Emperor, aka the not really well written Primarch, sadly, who's sometimes Scottish and sometimes not. Yeah, it's weird.
But that comes down to inconsistencies between all of the writers. But
no, I wasn't talking about writing. I was talking about how, like, in some things he has in like the trailer for Death Guard, he has a Scottish accent.
Okay, but that also comes down to what's it called? Interpretations, like artistic interpretations. But the thing with the Death Guard is like just like all of the other Traitor Legions, they were corrupted back in the Horus Heresy.
For the Death Guard, what ended up happening was they did betray the Emperor. They actually, when they first betrayed, they killed half their legion because they didn't want to betray them. Like in the same battle, it's like, oh, you're not betraying us? Done.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was on their way to Terra, I believe it was Terra. They
after Erebus.
After Erebus.
Hey, Typhus, you know what would be a smart thing to do?
Corrupt them.
Not even that. It's like, kill all the Psychers in your ship and single-handedly guide them back to Terra through the warp.
Yeah, because basically Typhus was like, I want to show how good a Psyker I am. So he decided, I'm going to be the navigator.
And then because Erebus is then like, hey, then you should be the sole navigator and do the most like moronic dipshit thing possible.
So then what ended up happening was they get stuck in the warp for a while. Typhus ends up being corrupted by Nurgle, becoming the first Death Guard.
While Typhus was in the warp guiding everybody, they ended up like Nurgle started influencing him to get him to come closer and closer to the homeworld, like Nurgle's homeworld,
the Garden of Nurgle.
Yeah.
So basically, not homeworld, it was his realm, and basically and Typhus wasn't aware of this, but eventually they do make their way there. And what ends up happening is Typhus ends up fusing with this Nurgle demon on the ship, becoming the first real true Death Guard blessed by Nurgle. These insects hollow out his body, and thus he is blessed with what is very much considered the strongest plague the Death Guard have, the Destroyer Hive. Essentially, he's gifted with these insects that are incredibly powerful and can.
He's basically Shinso from Naruto.
Basically, except a lot more terrifying.
Shino, not Shinso. Shino.
Shino from Naruto, except a lot more terrifying.
Yeah.
And from that point on, Nurgle essentially tortured them with plague and disease, and it got to the point where the unbreakable Death Guard broke. Mortarion sold all their souls to Nurgle, and Nurgle then blessed them all with the gift of eternal rot, so that they were technically immortal, but eternally rotting.
Yeah. So
if you want the quick
you're alive, but you have like a mouth in your stomach, and you're bloated, and you're nasty, and you smell horrible, and you fucking melt. And
to give an idea, Mortarion apparently smells so bad. Any non-Death Guard Astartes vomits from their eyes upon seeing him.
Yeah,
smelling.
They just do fucking die.
Basically, so that's the basics of them. But there's so much more to them that I love, and like to give an example, and a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is actually from the Lords of Silence book by Chris Wright. By Chris Wright. I'll put a link to that in the description. Basically, the Death Guard have a lot more to them than first seem. Like, for example, you think, oh, they're going to be screaming and like be all like, oh, kill everyone. But in reality, they're very
calm.
Quiet. They're very calm. They're quiet. They're very...
The whole like scream, murder, rah 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 thing is more like Khorne or the Chaos Undivided factions. Because like none of them are very hyper aggressive, except for Khorne, because that's literally what he fucking thrives off of. But one thing we forgot to mention about Nurgle is the demons, the Nurgle demons.
I mean, they're chaos demons.
Oh yeah, but like what's it called? I mean, like his specific ones, like what's it called?
He has his own. Basically, his demons are the Death Guard, rotting, and they're extremely tough and disgusting.
Yeah. But there's also what I mean is like their whole what's it called? Like Great Unclean Ones, for example. Holy fuck, Rodigus as well.
But anyway, so back to Death Guard. Essentially, the Death Guard are very calm. The only really angry ones would be like Typhus. But most of Death Guard are very calm. They are very like well spoken. They're very polite. Like they will negotiate and work with their other cousins, their other Chaos Space Marine cousins. They are polite, and they're very like they're terrifying, but they think they're not just running headfirst and everything. And another interesting thing is
they're not as insane as the other ones, is what I would say.
Yeah, they're insane in their own ways, where they see rot and decay as beautiful because they see it gives new life, and they see
it's less hysteria. It's less hysteria and more delirium. Yeah,
and a good idea is that the rot they're given, they see it as a gift and they call it the gifts of Nurgle because they feel like they're being given it. And again, another thing from Lords of Silence that really illustrates this is how all the Death Guard in it, all the changes that happen to them, they're disgusting, but they're not bad. For example, one Death Guard, his hand actually fused with his Power Fist, giving him this very big and very strong claw that he basically can just punch holes and shit and rip things apart. There's another who doesn't have eyes anymore, but he was able to grow eyes underneath his skin, and he can see through walls. So, like all of the, and like So all of these gifts that they're given, they're disgusting, but they all help them in some way. So Nurgle isn't just using them. He is, but they're all actually given something in return for their loyalty to him. Now, not all Death Guard are very religious.
What I would say it's less he giving them something for being with them. It might. This is my observation, knowing the themes of 40K, just knowing the universe and how none of the Chaos Gods give things for the sake of rewards. What I feel like it's more Nurgle thinking hey, they're more effective if I give them something that will help them be effective. It's like if you get a tool and the tool could be made better, why not make it better?
Yeah. And that's why I like them, is that they're not just being used by the Chaos Gods, they're actually given something for their work, for their effort. And they genuinely like it, and they genuinely are supportive of Nurgle. Yes, not all Death Guard are very religious. There's even a joke. The leader of the Lords of Silence, the warband in the book, makes where one of his brethren is oh, why aren't we just why aren't we just going and killing or something? And what's the purpose of these gifts if we don't use them? And then just his leader just goes something you could use a little religion in your life. I cannot hear you, Void.
I wasn't saying anything.
God, kidding me.
Oh.
Hi, can you hear me?
Nope. Okay.
Hi. Sorry. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So so he's just you could use a little religion in your life. It's great. So
one thing that I want to add about the Nurgle demons is it's actually a cool little fun fact. In Dawn of War, the strongest unit that the Chaos Space Marines have access to is actually a Great Unclean One, and one of their 3 choices of champions is a Chaos Sorcerer, a Chaos Lord, or a Plague Marine.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Because there's not many, when Dawn of War, you have the basic ones, so you have the Havocs, you have the regular Chaos Space Marines. In terms of demons, you have Bloodletters and a Bloodletter on top of a Juggernaut for Khorne. You don't have much for Tzeentch. I think literally for Tzeentch, all you have is the Sorcerers.
Because Tzeentch sucks.
It's not even that. It's just that I'm actually pretty sure it's because there weren't any Tzeentch or what are they called? I don't think there were many Tzeentch or many Slaanesh demons when Dawn of War came out. Because those are more recent.
Yeah, they're still pretty generic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Not generic. I wouldn't say generic.
There's not as many.
Yeah, they're what's it called? There's lots of them.
Yeah.
But the strongest unit that they have access to is their Great Unclean One, who is disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of both look and ability. But one thing that is really cool is there's one, because if you go on the Games Workshop webs, a web store, and you search up on their products about all of the demons, there are for Khorne, there's the Bloodthirsters. For Slaanesh, there's the Keepers of Secrets. For Nurgle, there's the Great Unclean Ones, and for Tzeentch, there is the Masters of Change. But there's one for each that's named. You have Scarbrand for Khorne, you have Shaleksi Hellbane for Slaanesh, you have Rodigus for Nurgle, and you have what's his name? Kairos Fateweaver for Tzeentch. And I've been meaning to read up on the lore of Rodigus for the longest time because I know the one of Scarbrand, and I'll talk about that more next week when we actually cover. Next week we're going to be covering Khorne, and it's very interesting. So if anybody knows it or has a good link to a video, a link to a good video about Rodigus, please place it down there for on the comments for me. I will 100% appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just the basic lore. Again, I'll put a link down below for more information on the Death Guard. But now, in terms of what they have gameplay wise, their big gimmick is they're
just tanky as shit. They don't die.
Yeah, They're tanking shit. So basically,
Fucking
they have a
Christ.
few things. They have high toughness. Even their plague marines have pretty high toughness. I believe it's 7. That's just for a plague marine.
There's one thing for anyone who's new. All of the gods of chaos have some number associated with them.
For Nurgle, it's 7.
For Nurgle, it's 7. Like, I'm pretty sure it's 6, 7, 8, 9. How they go?
I think so.
Nurgle's a 7. I know that, like, I think Slanesh is like 9er. Let me check actually. Nurgle's a 7. Corn's I'm pretty sure his is 6 actually. Or his might be. Yeah, no, his is 8.
Okay.
His is 8. Slanesh is 6.
Okay.
And what's his name?
Tzeentch.
Tzeentch is 9.
Okay. Anyway, so their big gimmick is their tanky shit. So they have high toughness, just straight up. Like basically the plague marines have 7, which is very high.
It's ridiculously high.
You then have their disgusting resilience ability, which basically, if they're about to take damage, for every point of damage they're about to take, you roll a d6, and for every 5, they don't take damage. And pretty much every Death Guard unit has this. So that's really good. On top of the fact that they have their own type of weapons called plague weapons. And what these do is, if you roll a 1, you get to re-roll that. And okay, for range weapons, this is all right. But for their melee, but where Death Guard really specialize is melee, because their melee weapons are fucking terrifying.
Oh my god!
So, an example, the Flail of Corruption is.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. Jesus Christ, that thing is horrifying.
Flail of Corruption. So for those of you who don't know, when you're attacking in melee, when you're attacking a
real
unit,
quick, I'm gonna interrupt.
Dude.
If any of you are making a Chaos Space Marine army that can run Plague Marines, run a Flail of Corruption. That's all I'm gonna say. Just run a Flail of Corruption. Jesus Christ.
On Terminator. Anyway, actually no, on Plague Marine, because you can't. Anyway, so basically, in melee, when you're attacking a model, say for example, you do 6 damage, but the unit only can take 2 damage before it dies. Well, you wasted that unit's dead. You can't allocate damage like that.
You can't. There's no overkill. Like overkill is wasted. So, if you're facing like Asha Militarum and you're playing like Adeptus Mechanicus,
this is damage. Hits are different.
No. So let's say you're playing like Asha Militarum and you're versing like Adeptus Mechanicus, and they have like a Imperial Knight.
A single hit does say 6 damage and it only shoots once. You hit and they deal 6 damage. Well, only one of your guys is dying.
Congrats. You just wasted. Like, congrats. You just wasted 5. Like, you could, like, there's weapons that hit multiple times, but those weapons are usually used for like,
taking out large
tanky
things. Yeah.
No. I mean, like the high single hit. That's usually for like tanky things. So that's usually if you want to take down like an enemy tank or a vehicle or something like that.
Yeah. So what the Flail of Corruption does is, I will say it. I'm a Death Guard player. Basically, what Flail of Corruption will do is it's a melee weapon with a high strength that lets you allocate damage, which is not common for melee. So if you roll 6 damage, well, congratulations, that's 3 Marines dead.
That's 3 Primaris Marines dead.
3 Primaris Marines dead. So they are...
Or a squad of regular Marines dead.
Yeah. So generally what you'll see this run on Death Shroud. Is Death Shroud or... Yeah.
It's called Death Shroud you're thinking of.
Because there's 2 types of Terminators for Death Guard, and I always confuse them because they're very confusing.
Yes, Death Shroud. Death Shroud's the... What's it called? They're the melee focused.
No, but I'm not thinking of the Death Shroud. I'm looking of the... Blight Lord Terminator, sorry.
Oh, Blight Lords.
Yep. What you'll often see people do with the Terminators is... they'll have a squad of 10, and then 2 of them will have the Flail of Corruption. They're purely meant for melee. So you'll shoot... rush in, and then you'll just be doing all this melee damage. It's insane. Like, Death Guard, Death Guard, if you're getting into 40k and you don't know a faction, and you want something simple but still good, choose Death Guard, because Death Guard, they may be middle of the road, but they are still really good, and they're not hard to get grips with.
Yeah. They're very basic. It's not like a Tzeentch where you have, like, 3 metric tons of like abilities that you got to read up on. They're very basic.
Yeah, Death Guard it's very basic, and on top of that, you still have some variation in how you play the army, because you can incorporate Nurgle Deems into it. You can incorporate. There's multiple play styles. Like for example, You can run a ton of there's a playstyle for running a ton of Poxwalkers or a ton of Demon Engines, or you can. There's a lot you can do with a good amount you can do with Death Guard that allow you to have some variation. They're a great beginners. They're a great beginners army.
Not just begin, but they're a great basic army. Like if you're looking for something that just gets shit done without you having to worry about like all this background like ability stuff. That's why I play Space Marines, and that's why I run very few psychers, because I don't want to have to spend hours and hours thinking like, oh, I have this psychic ability that could be used on this, and then this, and that bitch.
Because Death Guard only have one psyker generally. In an army, you'll be running only one psyker. At the most, you're running maybe like Mortarion, who is also a psyker. At the most psychers you're running are 3.
Yeah, because you're running Typhus, Mortarion, and like, what's it called?
And the Demon Prince of Nurgle.
Yeah.
And even then, when you are using them, they are still pretty basic. The psychic abilities for Death Guard are not complicated. You're probably only using 1 of 2 anyway. They are good. Death Guard are fairly good, and I would highly recommend them for a beginner. They're also a lot of fun because you don't have to worry about messing up painting, because the worse it looks, the better it is in actuality.
Yeah, because
they're supposed to look disgusting.
Like, yeah, because like if you mess up, like, oh, if you accidentally spilled something, and like, oh, it's like, well, it was intentional. Now they look even worse.
Yeah, they look even worse. Oh, I was sick and accidentally vomited on them. They look great now.
Oh my god, it's disgusting.
I know if it was Nurgle.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so yeah, I've pretty much said my piece with Death Guard. They're one of my favorite factions in 40k, and I would highly recommend them if you're new to 40k or just looking for a good, just easy to learn, pretty beginner, pretty easy to come to grips with faction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it.
With me, I want to add a little bit about the Demons of Nurgle.
Okay.
Because Demons are played in both 40k and Age of Sigmar. I'll stick to the more 40k side of it.
Because you don't know anything about Age of Sigmar?
No, it's because in Age of Sigmar they only have a few extras, and they're exclusive to Age of Sigmar. So I'm gonna like not dwell on that. I'm pretty sure like the exclusive ones like the Harbinger of Decay and a few others or something like that. Like, and there's also like the whole like the Maggotkin of Nurgle, which that's a whole separate faction though.
And we're not getting into that.
Yeah, that's gonna be later if we start doing Age of Sigmar videos. But the great thing about the demons is that they're basically just like how Locust said about all like the whole like toughness and like being resilient, just not fucking knowing when to die. But now you have demons, so you now have access to like a bunch of like the more like demonic powers. They're, I would say, the more complicated version of the Death Guard.
Slightly, they're still in terms of demon armies. They're simple. I mean,
yeah, it's not like what's it called? I would say probably the most complex demon army is Khorne. Just because of how many demons Khorne demon armies have access to. Compared to Nurgle, it's very basic. Nurgle, I think, actually has the second least number of demons, second only to Slaanesh.
Yeah, Slaanesh is not a good place right now.
Yeah, because Slaanesh is just not getting anything.
No, she who thirsts is really not getting anything.
It that dominates the loins of the universe.
Okay, and we're stopping there now.
What's you describe a?
I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get to her. Until then, we're not talking about her.
I already know you don't. I know you don't like it too much. But yeah, like the demons are very basic. They look fucking nasty. But in terms of playstyle, I can't speak much on that because I don't play them. But
Demons of Nurgle basically run this very similar to Death Guard, so
yeah, they seem like it. Like usually the demons like mirror the other counterpart. They're just a lot more melee focused than range focused. Yeah. But they, however, do have a lot more psychers though than what's it called? Than the Death Guard, because you have Rodigus, you have the Great Unclean Ones, you have the Spoilpox Scribe Vener, you have like a bunch of them.
You have Epidermius too.
Yeah, what's it called? Epidemius.
Who has a fucking hilarious model, may I
Mm-hmm.
add.
Just a fat chunky boy with an hourglass chilling on a skull, or like chilling on just like not a skull, on like a throne.
A throne held by Nurglings.
Yeah, because Nurglings are sweethearts, and I love all of them.
They're the 40k equivalent of minions, but they're actually good.
They're just these little, like, one of my favorite like models of all time is the I think it's the champion of Nurgle.
Let me pull it out.
I'll find a link to it in a sec. It's like a Death Guard champion, I think.
I don't think so. I have not heard of this. Actually,
I'll find it. Because the reason that I love him so much is because he is a Death Knight, Death Guard. Like, here, I found him. Plague Marine champion.
Oh, Plague Marine champion.
Yeah, the Plague Marine champion. I love the model because he's like this dude in like really big armor with like what's it called? With a bolter, a power fist, and a blight sword, like a blight knife, a plague knife. And he doesn't have his helmet because he has this like giant horn growing out of his head. And then all you see is just like the little Nurgling on the bottom striking just like this pose with the helmet on, just being all smug, and I love him.
Yeah, he's funny. He's the real leader we deserve in all this.
He's the real leader of the Plague Marines. Fuck you, Mortarion. But speaking of Mortarion, though, again, what attracts me about armies and things is the models. Oh my!
Mortarion is gorgeous. If you've
Mortarion is beautiful, my man.
If you've never seen Mortarion, go look up his model. It is gorgeous.
Him and what's his name?
Abaddon.
Like, okay, search up the Mortarion model because there is the Forge World. For anyone who's very new to 40k, there's two websites you can buy units from. You can buy them from Forge World, where they are a lot more expensive because the majority of them are resin cast and they're pre-built because they're resin. They have a lot less customization because, again, usually they're pre-built, and sometimes they have different rules. An example is macro weapons. Basically, they're just like supposed to be used against titans and like really, really big models. You just get to do double damage against them. But like, there's the Mortarion model from Forge World, which is him as a person. It's Primarch Mortarion. But Mortarion Demon Primarch of Nurgle, that's the exact name on the Games Workshop store. Oh my god, it is a gorgeous model.
He's got like beautiful.
He's got this like giant scythe, these huge butterfly wings. You can
moth wings.
Yeah, moth wings. You can equip him with like what's it called? You can give him like a pistol, and he is big compared to regular models.
He only has the pistol. He basically has his pistol, his personal firearm, the lantern, and his giant scythe, and he's very strong because he can attack. I think what was it, like 20 times?
No, I can pull up the rules for him, but because
it doesn't really matter that much, but he can attack a lot.
Yeah, like with the no, not art rules. I think I found it. No, I didn't. Hang on, that's a lot of contagion. God damn it! Can I just get the rules for him? Yep. Yeah, for some reason I can't find it, but like with the lantern, he can attack several times with it. It's ridiculous.
Not to mention he has an army of Nurglings around him all the time that he just unleashes. Yeah,
like one of his abilities, just straight up, he can attack 2 extra times per attack with the Nurglings, and it's absolutely nuts.
He basically rolls to see how many times he attacks, and then he can double it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But like, he has also psychic abilities. He's a very solid unit. Some people don't like to run him in favor of like other models
because he's very expensive.
He's very expensive, and there's other things you can do if you don't want to pay for him. But like, I personally, if I ran a Death Guard army, because again, I usually go for aesthetic over practicality, I would run him. The only model that comes close to being as beautiful as him is Magnus the Red, because that's also a Primarch model.
But we're not talking about Magnus.
We'll talk to Magnus. We're going to talk to him in 2 weeks, because next week is Corn, the week after Siege, then after we're talking about Slanesh.
Sadly.
But
I'm not a big fan of Slash, if I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest.
Locust does not like Slanesh. I like them all equally, except for Corn. Corn is baby. He is fucking mad lad. I'm gonna be so happy talking about the story of Scarbrand because I get to talk about how he yeeted. I'll leave you with this little teaser. My man's yeeted a greater demon so far that the dude flew for 7 days and nights and crash landed on a planet so hard he split the planet in half.
Possibly.
It's amazing and I love it.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
I'm pretty sure that's actually it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So with that, we're pretty much going to end it here. So, like we said, we are going to at least attempt to release a new episode every week. I'm going to try and have them out Fridays, hopefully, if not.
Because both of us we're both students.
And we're both in college, and it's very busy. And
we're both in college. I have college and a job, so
I have a job too.
Oh yeah, you're working now.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're like schedule's kind of packed, so it depends when we can record. But
we'll try, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And if you want to look to see if we're not uploading or not, you can follow me on Twitter. I'll have my Twitter link in the description. But just in case you don't want to scroll 5 feet to go see it, my Twitter heading is at SpaceSmurfL. Yes, that is what it is. I'll have it down in the description below. You can follow me there if you want to just see, well, in general, how my games are going, what models I'm working on, and terrible memes.
I still have to make a Twitter account for all of my social media, stuff like this, not just personal. But I do very, very rarely stream on Twitch, so I'll leave my Twitch channel down in the description. It's at the Voids game because the Void Games, which is usually what I go by, was taken. Sadly, good, kind of mad, but yeah, that's
about it. I'm also going to leave any link if we were talking. I'll leave links to anything we were talking about down in the description. So I'll leave links to videos explaining Grey Knights, Thousand Suns, and Dark Angels, as well as to Death Guard, since we were talking about them. I'll also leave a link down to Black Library, to that book I was talking about, Lord of Silence, because it is a really good book. But yeah, with that is the end of the podcast. I'm Locust.
I've been Void.
And this has been the Real Heresy, the Real Heresy Hours podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we see
catch you next week.
Bye.
See ya.